Hello and welcome to Podcasting is Praxis. I'm Jamie. My pronouns are he and him.
I'm Alasdair. My pronouns are he and him.
And I'm James, and my pronouns are they and them, and it's weird going last for once.
Yeah. And tonight we've got special guests Rocz and Liam from Well, There's Your Problem.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Justin. My pronouns are he and him.
And I'm Liam, and my pronouns are also he and him.
Okay. We got a diverse crowd today, folks.
Well, we subbed out. We've subbed out to he him, so we've got to get two he hims back in order to cover all the bases.
You got to meet the quota, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
A minion of some kind, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just here as a diversity hire, to be totally honest, so don't worry about it.
Brutal.
Right, so tonight we've got some, as you might have guessed from the presence of Well, There's Your Problem, we're talking about buildings collapsing. But first, Alasdair has some brief news nuggets for us.
Yeah, that's right. So my first news nugget for everybody tonight is some small island nations are going to try and do something extraordinary by making some of the bigger economies in the world responsible for literally any of the things that they've done to them.
Huh.
So
sounds good.
yeah, it's
I like where this is going. All right, yeah.
Yeah. So these countries include places like the Bahamas, Tuvalu, Vanuatu, Antigua, and Barbuda, among others, are going to ask the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, which is a very cool name, to determine whether greenhouse gas emissions absorbed by the marine environment could be considered pollution. And this is a pretty big deal for these kinds of nations, because turns out when you release a bunch of carbon dioxide into the sea and the atmosphere, everything gets really hot. And then all of that ice. Turns out when you make that hot, it turns into this other thing called water. And the more of that there is, the wetter everything gets. And when you're quite close to the sea, in general, there being more sea can be considered something of a problem.
Okay, but consider you need that extra volume of water to combat the ocean acidification.
Mm-hmm. The solution to pollution is dilution, right?
Yeah,
you can't have it both ways. What do you want? Do you want an acid ocean, or do you just want lots of slightly acid ocean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's the taste you can feel.
The moral dilemma we must all ponder.
Do you want your Coca-Cola just as a syrup, or with the extra soda water in it? Like, that is the question.
Yeah, exactly.
Who can say whether it's good or bad? Sure.
I'm just remembering that one chud guy, whoever it was, that made a video of ice melting in a glass to prove that no amount of icebergs melting could increase the sea level, which was incredible stuff.
Well, I would point out that there's actually quite a lot of ice on land.
Yeah, people did repeatedly and at great length, as I recall.
It's always the fun one to remember is that it's like, oh my God, there's going to be 1 foot of sea level rise in 50 years or whatever. It's like, well, the equilibrium point for 2 degrees Celsius is actually 200 feet of sea level rise or something like that. It just takes a long time to go.
We'll get there. Don't worry. Don't you worry.
We're nothing if not ambitious.
Yes.
So most countries have obligations under the UN, as far as that means anything.
Yeah.
Under the Convention on the Law of the Sea, to take measures to prevent, reduce, and control marine pollution. So, obviously, being able to include CO2 emissions in the category of pollution to the ocean is really, really big.
That'd be a huge deal, right?
Yeah, and
so countries can't wipe their ass with the treaty, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's so it's a 2-day hearing, and it is brought by the Commission of Small Island States on Climate Change and International Law. There's a lot of cool names and what's it fucking called when it's just the letters?
Acronyms.
Yes, that's the one. So we've got ITLOS and COSIS.
COSIS. Yeah,
COSIS,
that sounds like a first-person shooter from 2005.
Oh, it does! With bullet time and everything.
Yeah, ITLOS was the developer, so...
Yeah, so I mean, I imagine we're going to be hearing the words US veto in the future soon.
Probably.
Yeah, the US is going to dispatch like a SEAL team to free all of the
Yeah.
all of the Americans that end up being in prison because of this.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Actually, the CO2 is good. It's what plants crave.
Yeah. Right up until we can't breathe the air anymore.
Yeah.
And
Well, what's great about this in two levels is you've raised idiocracy, but like as the CO2 concentration increases, people get qualitatively and quantitatively dumber.
Yes.
So like we might well get that future just because we're all constantly like being stuck in a stuffy room for like 6 hours, levels of like just fucked. So looking forward to it.
tetraethyl lead the chemical that made everyone dumb?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But on the other hand, it made engines very quiet, so who can say if it's bad or not?
It's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
true.
I mean,
It's
it
true.
gave the world boomers, so I'm going with bad.
Dad, you fucker.
Says the man who likes a noisy engine.
Yeah.
Me? Yeah. I listen. I have an exhaust on my GTI, and it makes me cool.
In fairness, engine knocking doesn't just make the engine noisy; it does also make it explode.
Yeah.
So,
But that's
so
quite
there is a
noisy,
reason. There is a reason to have an anti-knocking compound, which is why we blend it with ethanol now and devote like I don't know a quarter of the cropland in the United States to ethanol production.
Don't hey! Those corn subsidies aren't going to write themselves, Ross. Hey.
Yeah, but if you raise the sea level, then those crops are going to water themselves. So you know.
That's a good point. Got to develop saltwater corn.
Saltwater corn.
I mean, seaweed's basically a form of corn, as far as I understand it. Don't ask me. I'm not a farmer. We need to get Rob on to answer questions like that.
Yeah, I don't know if you can distill seaweed.
You can actually
try.
make seaweed alcohol. You can do it. It's a whole fuck around, but it can be done.
Nice.
All right, every problem humanity has solved.
Yeah, we did it. We did it,
Yeah, we
boys.
did it.
We did it, boys. Pack it up.
Yeah,
We saved it. We saved humanity. Pack it up.
I'm sure like Elon Musk or someone will invent a hat that gives you clean air as well.
Oh yeah.
Don't talk about the muskrat.
One of those super masks that they were advertising at the start of the pandemic.
Oh, the Dyson like fucking plague spreader.
Yeah,
Yeah, the K1 million or whatever the fuck.
yeah,
That thing was fucking amazing.
yeah. Protect yourself from COVID by infecting everyone around you.
Yeah.
Fuck 'em.
Yeah, came with a complimentary tree suit.
Yeah,
You ever seen? You ever seen those like hand dryers they have in some like public bathrooms, like the Dyson Airblade or whatever it's
I
called?
hate those fucking
They're
things.
It just,
awful.
remember that spraying piss everywhere? What if you had one of those for your mouth?
Well, I don't see. I
Piss
don't,
in the Dyson. You know you're not supposed to piss in those, right?
No
Where
gods,
else
no
am I meant to
masters.
put my piss-sodden hands?
Yeah.
In the sink, like a fucking animal? I don't think so.
That's fine.
I legit actually once in an international airport saw some guy drying his junk using one of those.
Was it Mr.
magnificent.
Bean?
I mean,
was it
that's-
X-rated, Mr. Bean?
X-rated Mr. Bean.
look, all I'll say is it was over in America, and frankly, I applaud the bravery because that's a sex offender registry, intervention waiting to happen.
I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah, and I was gonna like jump in with, well, we've all seen a guy like just like come away from like having a piss, run his fingers under the tap for 1 microsecond, and then go straight to the dryer. But no, I think that beats it. Like,
That's
Yes.
that is upsetting.
What was great about it, like I did a 118 walked right back out, like nope, other bathroom. But as I was watching this, like everyone else was just like carrying on like this was all just perfectly normal, and it's just like okay, yeah, sure, I'm the only person.
There's nothing else you can do in that situation.
I suppose it's
I
not,
guess that's
but-
true.
you didn't stick around to make eye contact with the guy. So
Just
don't be-
staring the guy. Oh man.
So
Don't-
do I
don't
want to
be-
have a
don't be-
confrontation with the guy who has his junk out right now? I don't know. I'm already miserable being at an airport. I don't want
I'm
to.
Is
kind of
it-
into it. I could make it work. I think.
Is
Do you
it-
want to have a conversation with the guy who's got his moist junk out in front of you?
I
That's the
think the
question.
problem is that I'm just built different.
Yeah.
Is it the same rules as using a urinal? Like you're not allowed to make eye contact or say anything. Like
Yeah, you can
the
only
fuck are you
use
gonna make
every
eye
other
contact with
dryer.
people at a
You have to
urinal?
be normal.
Just a sign outside the jets that just says normals only.
to think they're worried about trans people in bathrooms when this shit is going on. My God.
I know, it's ridiculous.
We need to stop bathrooms until we can figure out what's going on.
We just get rid of bathrooms. Yeah.
Honestly, though.
Go in the woods. Dig a little hole.
To be right, in all seriousness here, I think I understand a little bit of the bathroom panic in America purely because you guys have fucking bathroom stalls that a child can crawl under levels of
they
gap.
love doing it, those little fuckers.
I do not understand that. I don't understand. Just have like full doors and enclose it. No one needs to see me pissing.
Yeah.
It does seem as though that's
right?
sort of the trend. That's sort of the trend in bathroom design now, is to have full height stalls. But the worst is like in public schools and places like that, where a lot of times they don't even have doors.
No, you're just pissing wild, man.
Oh yeah, when I took the SAT, I was like, I got to use the bathroom really badly, and I go in, and it's like there's no doors on any of these bathroom stalls, and I was like, I'm gonna tough it out.
My favorite thing to do is to shit with the door open in public bathrooms, just to prove my dominance.
Yeah, America's leading the way on so many things, like bathroom graffiti. I remember when I was in America like 15 years ago, and poop splash gives you AIDS is going to stay with me for a long, long time.
Good Lord.
The fucked up thing about Roz, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Is that he is a private man, and we've been in, this is going to sound weird, we've been in many bathrooms together. And the man always, even when he pees, he goes in the stall, closes the door, and it's just like, I've never seen him use a urinal. And I have seen him use the Dyson hand dryer as a urinal.
No, I have not done that.
I know, buddy.
Should I drag us all begrudgingly back to what the Prime Minister of Tuvalu said?
Go on.
This is a podcast about how to piss. Pissing is Praxis podcast.
I mean, you should join us for the After Dark episode. Kauzia Natano, I apologise for the butchering of that name, said sea levels are rising rapidly, threatening to sink our land below the ocean. Extreme weather events, which grow in number and intensity with each passing year, are killing our people and destroying our infrastructure. Entire marine and coastal ecosystems are dying in waters that are becoming warmer and more acidic. He also says his people are suffering a manifest injustice as a result of climate change. We are confident that international courts and tribunals will not allow this injustice to continue unchecked, which is pretty optimistic. I have to admit.
Optimistic is the word, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say that confidence is misplaced.
Can I be really doom and gloom a second and suggest
as if it weren't already enough.
Yeah, I suppose. Like, if let's say that the US just doesn't even fight it, lets them make the judgment, but then just refuses to pay. Like, if they wait long enough, all of the plaintiffs are going to vanish beneath the ocean, and there'll be no one left to claim.
Yeah, that's a good US strategy. That's a classic like Biden administration move.
Yeah,
just being a real donkey.
You can get pretty far just by refusing to come into compliance.
Running the clock out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So half of
I imagine a lawyer looking at this document and being like, well, I don't think their complaint is valid because technically the land isn't sinking, the ocean is rising.
They can be like that. Was it Coca-Cola the guy was a lawyer for who cited the Nuremberg trials as a reason why...
Nestle, wasn't it?
Oh, was it Nestle? Sorry. My mistake of heinous corporate criminals.
Which gruesome, right, exactly.
I'm not familiar with that incident.
Neil Cattell, who was that Burning Man?
Yeah, it was the Burning Man guy, the lawyer for Nestle, who he cited the Nuremberg trials not indicting the companies in Germany that used the slave labour in the camps as a justification.
Is this for child labour?
Yes.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Wow, fun.
Yeah, it's real unethical, man.
So, where was I?
Wrapped in human misery.
Oh, am I ever? So, half of Tuvalu's capital, Funafuti, will be flooded by 2050, say estimates. And I love this next paragraph. While the Paris Agreement is a legally binding treaty requiring countries to reduce emissions and affirms the goal of limiting the global temperature rise to below 2°C, it allows countries to set their own action plans. Whether or not that is
Why?
entirely vibes-based, we leave up to the signing nations. So I may have editorialized slightly there, but...
Well, it sounds like nobody's going to do anything.
That does seem to be the trend.
That would
yeah,
be my guess.
just doing nothing, and a wizard will fix it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Elon Musk will
Call someone a
perfect
pedophile seemingly for no reason.
We'll invent the carbon capture machine.
Yeah,
which,
yeah.
You know, extracts
Yeah,
the same amount of carbon as like one cigarette every day.
Yeah.
So the lead counsel and chair of COSIS Committee of Legal Experts said that there are no obligations to keep temperature rises within 1.5C, beyond which there is a high probability of catastrophic climate change. I mean, like when you see things like this, like 1.5C, there we have no commitments to stay below that, and I think we are just barely under that at the moment still. And we're seeing all this fucking insane weather everywhere.
Yes.
Like Greece burning down, Canada burnt down, California burnt down, like all of East Australia
Hawaii
burnt down. Hawaii burnt down. Like literally all of Hawaii burnt down, which is like fucking insane. And don't worry, it's only going to get worse.
Oh, it sure is, bud.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is the second news nugget any lighter?
No, it's worse.
Should we move on to the second news nugget? I feel like we've said what needs to be said about the okay. So so nugget 2 is devil dogs and the cats who loathe them.
What?
Okay.
Marine Corps?
So we are witnessing
It's discourse day, baby.
Yeah, we are witnessing the birth of this year's moral panic over dogs and dangerous dogs.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Right.
I don't know how much of this, if any, is actually present in like American discourse because of the weird little domain that this podcast occupies. Everyone is obsessed with the American XL Bully, a breed of dog which is like a crossbreed between a bunch of other dogs that are like quite infamous for having really strong bites and being quite big, hence XL Bully. So our home
sort of like horrible pit bull mix, that Joe Biden would own, or whatever type of dog he had that bit all the Secret Service guys.
Commander was a German Shepherd.
Yeah, it's German
Shepherd.
Shepherds. Which, like, funnily enough, like I think it was in like the 80s, was the dog of choice for the contemporary moral panic over dangerous dogs.
For some reason, like everyone around here had a pair of German Shepherds, and they were called Prince and Sheba, and I've never been able to figure out why that was.
It's got to be a reference to something, right?
Well, it must be, but whatever it was, it had incredible like cultural penetration with boomers in the 80s.
I always sort of lean towards the a lot of times your problem is not shitty dogs but shitty owners. I lean towards that opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not always true, but it's true a lot of the time.
I mean, a big part of it is like different dogs have like different risk factors, right? Because and like what is a breed? I mean, it is it's as much of a spectrum as anything else that you can.
A miserable pile of secrets.
Yeah,
indeed. But like any sort of degree of like regulation, like we've got a golden retriever, and like she's like 20 kilos, so she is tiny by golden retriever standards, but like it was very weird just turning up to someone's house, paying them some money for a dog, and then leaving, and then that was the end of it. It's so weird. It feels like there should be someone who should be made aware that this has happened, but it just isn't required. And
you got a license for that dog.
Well, I've just had to check that David's doing this week's edit before I say some stuff that might need to be fact checked. But I saw a bunch of people mad at Michael Walker from Navarra today on social media about this, because apparently he once tweeted about how he owns one of these dogs and it bit another dog, and he was moaning that he had to pay for like behavioral classes for it. But he's now out saying that Suella Braverman's announced like new regulations to keep these wild beasts under control, and according to Michael Walker, apparently because this podcast doesn't pay me enough to go seeking out Michael Walker's fucking takes for myself, but from what I gleaned from everyone else's angry yelling at him, he claimed that that she only did that because the online left talked her into it, and that it's racist to have a problem with those dogs.
What?
Oh, nice.
Apparently where he lives, all of those dogs are owned by black people.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw the like, oh, you may have like a stereotypical view of who might own this kind of dog, and it was like a black person. It's like, what? No, that's if we're going over stereotypes. I'm not thinking of like a black guy. I'm thinking
sure,
of like,
fuck it.
yeah. Why not?
I love this kind of guy who's like,
Potentially unpopular opinion. A society that factory farms animals should not take a woman to court for slapping a horse. Michael Walker, August 26, 2023.
and everyone's like, no, only you could possibly think of that, you fucking freak.
And then they go on GB News and sit at the kiddie table in the background of the debate.
Yeah, where do you think they're doing all these tweets from, Jamie?
Do you think when he goes on like GB News and they put him over in the lefty corner like that, do you think they give him some colouring in to do?
I think I need Rocz and Liam. How I can't imagine you'd have seen this unless Alice has shown you or something. But can I just show you a picture of Michael Walker of Novara Media, like the left wing media outlet, on GB News at the kiddie table,
Fox News.
which is like British Fox News. On the right there is Michael Walker on GB News in the.
And in the foreground at the left are the people having the debate.
Interesting.
And he agreed to that. Like, deeply serious individual.
Why is he back there?
Because they don't respect him.
God,
gotta yell your takes from the kiddie table.
I mean, that's what I often do on our podcast.
That's kind of what podcasting is.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah, someone was posting that again the other day, and I was saying it looks like one of those perspective tricks from Lord of the Rings if they put the camera in the wrong place.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. If they pan the camera around, Michael stays the exact same size, but the table, if you look carefully, you can see that it actually moves.
Yeah, it actually is. The table is actually like really, really long, like the one Putin has for his conferences
or like whose office was like Hitler's office was super long.
Hitler had a super long office. Yeah.
Mussolini was the same. It's something about fascists and like having really long offices.
Bolsonaro's was having a very wide table.
It's really long, but instead of a table, it's like a hospital bed.
Yeah, for it to hold as many shrimps.
Yes.
Just like a hospital bed conveyor, and he just goes along it every day with different doctors stabbing him with different drugs.
Imagine, if you will, a Yo Sushi conveyor belt at the end of a hospital bed.
Okay, Mr. Bolsonaro, it's time for your shit sucking.
So, going back to noted fascist and idiot Suella Braverman, she has commissioned some urgent advice on what to do about the XL bully after, and it specifically brought this like last few days. Been brought up because there is a video on TikTok /X /Twitter /whatever the fuck you want to call it that shows members of the public. Yeah, people on the internet have seen a video trying to pull a dog off of a person. The same dog ended up attacking apparently 3 people. One of which was an 11-year-old girl who ended up in hospital with non-life threatening injuries. But that's from the Times, so take that with a pinch of salt as needed. She also added, "This is appalling. The American XL bully is a clear and lethal danger to our communities, particularly to children. We can't go on like this."
USA.
Sorry, is she specifying American because there's a French version that's like less aggressive or something?
To be fair, French bulldogs are horrid little shits as well.
Oh, they're bastards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's commissioned urgent advice on banning them. A thing that you can do. Banning a dog.
How do you ban a dog? Like, what are you doing? Are you like gonna just go through and put down all the dogs? Like,
you arm the police and tell them it's open season.
Yeah, I guess so.
This is why it's not a problem in America at the moment.
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, the ATF is just gonna come in and shoot them instantly for no reason.
It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. for like a wellness check.
A wellness check for the dog.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
to make sure the dog isn't well.
Well, it's funny you should mention it, Alistair, because the actual implementation of this shit sucks. What we do is we put a reporting requirement on vets to report suspected illegal breeds, and
Fucking
then,
hell, man.
Yeah,
we
and then,
suspect this is a dog.
yeah, right. And then they basically have to put them down if they're confirmed to be like the wrong breed. Essentially, that's how current
What the
like dog
fuck?
bans work.
I mean, I
right?
do like how you got like the British Kennel Club and the American Kennel Club, and it is just dog eugenicists, but for good
Yes.
reasons.
Yeah.
And now we have to have dog eugenicism, but for bad reasons.
Well, this
yeah.
this already exists, and the net effect, right, is these illegal breeds are still out there. It's just no one takes them to the vet, or they pay the vet like a lot under the table just to kind of not report it.
Yeah, I mean, but the other flip side, I mean, like the XL bully is the result of like essentially a result of the 1991 Dangerous Dogs Act, where they did ban. I think it's like 4 specific breeds. There was an article by Zoe Williams in Guardian's comment is free section, but it was very, very boring, so I just skipped over it. But it was mostly about like these 4 breeds.
Did someone just load these 4 breeds into a rowboat, take them out into international waters, and let them get fucking?
I feel like
Pretty
XL
much.
Bully.
That's
XL
the deal.
Bully sounds like one of those, those tactical coffee companies. That would be
Yeah.
one of their blends. You know,
I was thinking like a
it's like
giant Slurpee cup.
I had to go out to the tactical breeder. This dog comes with camel
It's where they-
pattern on it. Real
It's
tree.
where they get the dogs from the John Wick films.
Yeah.
Oh, those are Malinois, aren't they? I think.
I have no idea.
Like another insane breed, but like for different reasons. But yeah. So like we've suffice to say, regardless of how dangerous the dogs are, like you breed a dog that's big with a lot of bite strength, and it.
Shit's gonna go down, right?
Look, they should. I think the dogs are innocent. They should put down the owners and the breeders.
We should put down all human beings. Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, see if the dogs can keep global warming going.
So you remember that video I mentioned at the start of this news nugget? That's not
with
even
the attack.
confirmed to be an XL bully.
Oh, yeah. That
Incredible.
sounds about right.
That's
It's hard
fantastic.
to find out this post facto. You might have a dog that just looks like a different kind of dog, but is in fact a third kind of dog.
Oh,
I mean, this is-
no one's expecting it.
Oh,
This
my
is- this is
God,
kind
it
of
was
what-
actually a
Yeah.
vicious. What's it called? What's the white fluffy dog? Samoyed.
Poodle?
Samoyeds.
Samoyed.
Yes, Samoyeds.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing I was saying about like the 1991 Dangerous Dogs Act basically says there are four breeds that are banned, but it doesn't like. Have you ever tried to define like what? I mean, Graham Linehan's attempting to define a chair, but for dogs, like it's exactly like that. Like, but
Yeah,
without
it's like-
describing anything like color, ear type, tail type,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
Like, but this is to somehow cover all kinds of dog that specifically come from these 4 breeds, but exclude all other dogs. It's just impossible to do.
Yeah,
So-
what they should do is get the like the music critic guys on that, because they make up like weird shit like that all the time. Like, what the fuck is mathcore? That's not a real thing. They'd be great at like just deciding on what dog breeds things are.
I think they need to refocus dog breeding on more interesting things rather than like I'm gonna
Yeah,
try
like
and have
crossing
a
them with
dog.
humans, for example.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah,
thinking
why
like
not?
no, I want comedy dogs. Like I want a dachshund that's 7 feet long.
Oh yeah. Looks like it came out of the hot dog roller. Hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't need something that's bigger and has more bite strength. I want like I don't know. What if there was a dog 6x6? He's got like extra legs in the middle, for more traction.
Yeah.
I think this is not a. We should be doing more interesting things than I don't know. I'm gonna have a tactical dog. That's old. That's boring.
Yeah.
And well, that's it for the XL bully until Solar Braveman comes back with her
No doubt incredible proposal.
Yeah, pogrom against specific dog breeds.
Well, that's something to look
impressive.
forward to because I'm sure the police will take it incredibly seriously.
Oh yeah.
And
and apply the law very evenly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to. I assume the police own these laws. You know.
I mean, it is going to be pretty funny. They are just going to start shooting more dogs and then claiming, well, I had reasonable suspicion it was, and that's going to be their excuse for a while until there's enough of a public uproar for them to quiet down a bit. So, sure, why not? Dog genocide, let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, it might start the revolution because British people like dogs more than they do the poor.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's true.
Right, should we get on to the main topic then?
Yes.
Rack.
Right. So the main topic is, I'm phrasing this as a question for everyone. Why is everyone worried about schools collapsing?
Because they're doing that.
Right, well, it turns out a lot of schools in the UK have roofs that are made from a material that, and stop me if you've heard this before, was initially hailed as a wonder substance, but later turned out to be dangerous.
Oh, I've heard that one before.
Yeah, they built Grenfell Tower out of that stuff, didn't they?
No, that would have been a different kind of reinforced concrete panel.
Yeah, this is more commonly known as asbestos 2, right?
Yeah, and it's not just schools. Hospitals, courts, and prisons were also built using reinforced autoclaved aerated concrete, which is what it's called.
Yes.
So if you're planning a jailbreak, dig up.
Yeah. So this is a substance that was developed in the 30s in Sweden, I believe.
Yeah.
So normal concrete, right? Concrete's made out of four things. You got your cement, you've got your fine aggregate, you've got your coarse aggregate, that's sand and gravel, respectively. You have water. After that, you have things called admixtures, which is just anything you add to the concrete to make it behave differently. So you might add something like a plasticizer that makes it level more smoothly or something like that. But concrete's very heavy. It's very good at compression, not very good in tension. There's properties you might want to change in other ways. So there's this idea, what if we make lighter concrete that would be good for like roofs or for walls on low-slung buildings, right? So aerated concrete is essentially you're making it out of the cement, the fine aggregate, which is sand. You add alumina in there, and then you add the water. And then rather than curing it conventionally, that takes, 28 days. 28 days later is that film about concrete curing.
We all remember the pouring scene.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I remember the tense moment of the slump test. So rather than doing it that way, this reinforced or this aerated autoclave concrete, you pour it into a mold, right? You put that mold onto a narrow gauge rail car. You shove that narrow gauge rail car into an autoclave. It's hit with high pressure steam for several hours. Comes out the other end, lots of big air bubbles where the coarse aggregate would be. So it's very light. And it's completely cured in just a very short period of time. So you can manufacture it and use it basically instantly. And this is even to this day still a fairly common material. It's not inherently bad, but the way you use it sometimes causes problems. One of those being,
I was going to say, I bet it's one of those situations where it's slightly cheaper to use than a more appropriate concrete, and all anyone who has built anything has ever heard is slightly cheaper.
Slightly cheaper, yeah, exactly. So the other thing is, now we have, we want to make this concrete do something it doesn't want to, which is work in tension. Aerated autoclave concrete is on its own very bad in tension. You could literally pull a piece of it apart with your hands. So this is not exactly a great situation if you wanted to be in tension at all. You can't crush it. You can pull it apart. So you add reinforcement bars. Now, the problem is conventional reinforced concrete, it has your reinforcing bar, your various kinds of bars, your number one, there's no one number one bar, number one, number two, number 8, number whatever bar. And these are sort of put in place and then the concrete is poured on top of it. In this case, you're making panels, right? So you're doing that at the factory. But the thing is, you have all these bubbles in the concrete, and these bubbles mean that the rebar doesn't have a good grip on the concrete, and they also can corrode very easily. So you need some kind of plastic coating on top of the rebar, and that's been one of the problems of reinforced aerated concrete that's started to show itself as these coatings are starting to decay. And actually, when they changed coatings in the 90s, the new coating is actually much worse than the old one.
Of course.
Over a period of aging. So owing to the fact that there's no good grip, though, on the from the rebar to the concrete, rather than a conventional failure where you see a crack and the crack starts getting wider over the course of a month, and you start to realize, okay, we can... here's the problem. The problem needs to be solved. We had some time to do it. With this reinforced aerated concrete, it goes from hairline crack to total failure instantly.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Beautiful.
Yeah. No.
Yes. No, he's lying. It is.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll just try and quickly skim over whichever bits of the notes you just explained without looking at there. But yeah, it was initially designed to be a form of insulation. And then someone realized if you put rebar in it, you could make Lego for grown-ups.
Carno, isn't it?
But it absorbs water quite well, as I understand it.
Oh, yeah.
So naturally, the thing to do in Britain is use it for flat roofs a lot of the time.
Of course. That's
Oh,
the
God,
way
Pops.
to go. Is
Pubs up and down the country are going to be outraged.
Yeah.
It's not like roofing membranes or ever have penetrations or any kind or imperfections. That's going to be fine.
Yeah. So I've got a couple of quotes from the Financial Times on this here. So used between the 1950s and mid-1990s, it allowed structures to be built quickly and cheaply. However, in the 1980s, evidence began to emerge that beams made of RAAC were failing. Right? Does anyone want to guess what the evidence might have been?
The roof fell in.
The
Roof
building
collapses
fell down.
in the 1980s were followed by a UK government paper on its problems in 1996. And then in 1999, the Standing Committee on Structural Safety, an expert group, issued warnings about its use. So a couple of schools had to fall down before anyone decided there could be a problem. But then
Not just
we knew
schools, Jamie. There were schools
Yeah.
in the home counties of all places.
Yeah.
Oh, the place that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's where all the
But-
homes are.
But that was the 80s. We figured out that something was wrong a mere 10 years later, and then by then we got the new Labour in, who everyone knows were incredible. So, do you think maybe they fixed it, and maybe it's just a Tory problem? Because we heard about it in the 80s, and then we haven't heard about it again until now. So maybe it's something that only rears its head when there's 10 years of Tory rule. But Labour did have a solution to this problem when they came in. BSF, or the Building Schools for the Future programme.
Oh, no.
I will introduce this with a couple of the opening paragraphs of a Guardian article from 2007. Bishop's Park College must be one of the most visited schools in England. On the day the Guardian called, it was able to spare a 2-hour slot in the morning, but was expecting a group from Scotland in the afternoon. Driving towards the secondary school from the Essex coastal town of Jaywick, a rundown hodgepodge of decaying concrete and peeling paint near Clacton, it's easy to see why. Completed 2 years ago at a cost of £20 million, it stands out like a beacon. Its upswept roof pierces the skyline, and its frontage is brightened by multicoloured panels. Inside it is all wood, bright daylight, warm brick and sound-absorbing carpet. Bishop's Park feels human. Designed to meet the needs of children from an exceptionally deprived community, 2 of the local wards are in the poorest 5% of the country. It is split into 3 separate schools within schools, which creates a homely atmosphere. The school's staff, pupils and architects are justifiably proud of it. Here's the money shot. So why has Essex County Council announced its intention to close Bishop's Park? And who will pay for the remaining 28 years of the 32-year private finance initiative that the county struck with its developers' weights?
Oops.
Yeah.
Oops.
So Blair's government just saddled everyone with a bunch more debt over the issue, surprisingly.
Wow. Who could have thought those? Who could have seen this coming?
It's just good governance to force the private sector, or pay the private sector even, to take out loans with terrible interest rates when you are in fact the state.
Yeah.
Oh, it's magnificent.
But it's more efficient if it's private, though.
Yeah, it's more
Yeah,
efficient.
I mean,
They're-
you got-
they're-
you
More,
got-
more efficient.
Yeah, the profit motive, therefore efficiency. Yeah.
Therefore, yeah, exactly.
Stupid.
Whoever saw a private company make a bad decision.
Never, not me.
Yeah, so Labour did fuck all, basically.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
on
that's
the
crazy. I can't believe that.
On 5th of July 2010, Secretary of State for Education Michael Gove announced he was scrapping the programme for being bureaucratic and wasteful, cancelling 715 school rebuilds and reviewing another 123 academy projects on a case-by-case basis. And Gove was interviewed by everyone's favourite worst cunt, Seb Payne, in the Financial Times last October.
Yeah.
Seb Payne wrote, "What about his biggest mistake in office? He looks around the pub making awkward noises while seeking to alight on the right answer.
I reckon he just does that anyway when you ask him a question.
Yeah.
Eventually-
Buffering.
Sometimes you have to take a moment before you speak. It's fine.
It's okay.
Eventually,
Okay.
he concludes it was his early decision to cancel the school's refurbishment programme. The answer does not feel wholly convincing. Imagine being Michael Gove and being unable to convince Seb Payne of your honesty.
Yeah, for Rocz and Liam, Seb Payne, selected Conservative candidate for some fucking seat somewhere in the UK now.
Yeah. The briefcase nerd to journalist to like politician pipeline.
Wow.
Ew.
Anyway, that
Conservatives'
interview,
very own West Streeting.
yeah, that interview was October 2022, and it's worth noting that the Government Property Agency released a report in August 2022 stating that RAAC is now life expired and liable to collapse. Just in case you were wondering why it might have been at the forefront of Gove's mind, like to say he regretted that.
Yeah,
Well, it's good to know that the concrete's
oops.
been keeping up to date.
Whoops.
Yeah, well, it's I'm sure the kids will be able to hold it up,
On top of the problems that come when priced in when you use soluble construction materials on pissing it down island, it's also worth noting that a lot of the concrete used was made on the cheap and either didn't contain enough rebar. There's apparently, you're the expert, Roz, but apparently you're supposed to put that shit in going like one way and the other way so that it supports itself.
Yes, the rebar cages for this type of concrete are a little more complicated than standard ones, just on account of the fact that it doesn't bond well with the concrete. So you have to do these like fancy welded cages in there, as opposed to just bending the bars around each other. So that does make so if you cheaped out on that, you're going to have problems. You'll have a concrete that's good intention one way and shit the other way. That's not good.
Apparently, a lot of it lacked crossbars, so it just all the bars went one way.
Yeah, imagine being the guy who looked at concrete and said, "I wish this was more like carbon fiber."
Yeah, composite materials have their own unique set of problems.
Time and place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so apparently some of it missed crossbars, and then and this one's even better. Some of it, the bars that went like from one end to like the other, weren't a single bar. They just stuck like consecutive pieces of bar next to each other,
Which is fine in regular reinforced concrete. For this thing, oh boy.
Yeah. It turned out to be helpful though, because when they make it that badly, it actually sags before it collapses. So they could see something was wrong rather than having it just immediately come down.
Is concrete supposed to bend after it's set? I don't think it is.
Well,
Look, lads. Bad news is we fucked. Bad news is we fucked it. Good news is we fucked it so catastrophically it's obviously wrong, and you've got time to react.
I was
Fantastic.
about to say,
I've never seen concrete cry before.
it does do that actually. It's what's the word?
Sensitive.
A miracle?
No. I'm trying to remember the word, and it's not coming to me. But the concrete does expel chemicals that make it look like there's these white streaks on it. Efflorescence. That's what I'm thinking of.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So the National Audit Office put out a report in June this year.
Oh, Rob's best friends.
Yeah, and they said the Department for Education had identified 572 schools with a potential problem.
Isn't that like all of them?
Yeah.
Not quite.
But,
But,
better get to work.
When I checked the list, there's a spreadsheet you can look at on the government's website with a list of schools that are affected, and that only had 146 entries when I looked this morning. And Scottish government has confirmed 40 schools, so I'm sure if you add those two numbers together, you get close to 572. I haven't got a calculator handy. And obviously the fun part is it's not just schools, though. Obviously I mentioned like a couple of things earlier on, but a much longer list that I could compile was fire stations, hospitals, and other NHS buildings, courts, theatres, and airports. Sadly, not police stations.
But positively, the Houses of Parliament, right, Jamie?
Yeah, that half an hour before we started recording tonight, Bloomberg put out an article confirming that they'd found this stuff in the Houses of Parliament.
Wow, damn!
I imagine that bit will get fixed fairly quickly.
I was about to say someone's about to get a big contract right there.
You say that, though. Yeah. You say that, but whenever this topic of fixing the like tinderbox death trap that are the Houses of Parliament, they always get stuck on the question of what we're going to do when we can't get in. Like where are we going to move the seat of power of the entire United Kingdom? Because it can't be outside of London. God forbid.
It's fucking ridiculous because their stated reason, the Conservative Party members' stated reason, the MPs, for not wanting to do this, is they're afraid that if they go to a new location, all the pomp and circumstance will look ridiculous, and people will start to question. Now.
Yeah, I was about to say, just stick it in a high school gymnasium for a few years. You'll be fine.
No, their concern is that people will start to see, oh, maybe we don't need to do all this ridiculous stuff with black rod, etc.
Yeah, we don't want to make the Houses of Parliament look too provincial, do we?
Yeah, there's literally no event you can't hold in a high school gymnasium, in my experience.
Yes,
or a community centre.
Yeah.
That's it, Jamie. Get the House of Parliament on the phone to your man.
Yeah.
Put him in like the sheep metal workers union hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so not every building that contains RAC will necessarily need emergency repairs, because you can manage the problem with maintenance. I think Heathrow and maybe Gatwick have found it in some of their buildings and are managing it, taking care of it. And then when everyone got the big panic on a few weeks back, they had to go and like reassess their plans and decide, no, we're actually doing it properly. We don't need to worry about all these other idiots running around screaming.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to if it's a flat roof, obviously water pools on that, so you need to like take care of that problem and make sure it is completely waterproof. But I imagine a lot of places won't bother to send anyone up to check the roof if they don't see water coming through inside.
Yeah, it's people don't maintain their roofs very well. I mean, the one thing about waterproofing membranes is waterproofing is an oxymoron. You know, it's everything
water
leaks.
is unstoppable.
Yes, exactly. And on these flat roofs where, you know, your roof slope is like what, a quarter inch per foot, it's very easy for very small deviations to cause big problems. You know, I mean, obviously flat roofs are, well, I wouldn't even say flat roofs are a solved problem. They're kind of a bad idea in general, but people like them because they're cheap.
Yeah.
You know, so when you're using this material to hold up the roof, which is extremely vulnerable to water, you're gonna have problems, very obvious problems that you could have seen when you started building it. You know, especially after 30 or 40 years. So you know, and to some extent, the economic logic of an engineering logic of reinforced aerated autoclave concrete is pretty obvious. You know, because roofs don't need to take like major loads unless you're getting like lake effect snow.
Wait, are you telling me that the second Batman film lied to me when he drives the tank across the Batmobile across that roof? That's not realistic.
Yes.
Fuck.
Oh, that would have collapsed basically instantly. Yeah. You know,
Christopher Nolan, take note.
At least in the United States, your standard roof loading is 20 pounds per square foot with, you know, like a 300-pound concentrated load. So that's not a Batmobile. If you have lake effect snow, you might need to make something stronger. But last I checked, Lake Erie was pretty far from England.
Although who knows?
Yeah.
It could happen to you.
That's the last thing we need is for Britain to have one of the world's largest sources of fresh water.
Yeah, because then we'd just be able to fill it with fucking sewage.
Oh, almost instantly, yeah.
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 Yeah. Private water companies just sitting there and going, do you know what this Great Lake needs?
Right. So to round up like this exciting segment, I'm going to go through a timeline of how the government's handled this issue so far.
Great.
Well,
okay.
Is it one point that says they didn't?
Well, not brilliantly, to be honest. So the current air quotes crisis actually started in 2018 when the roof of a primary school collapsed. They apparently noticed signs of structural stress on a Friday, and then thankfully on a Saturday morning when no one was in, one of the roof, like part of the roof, collapsed.
Okay.
So literally within 24 hours of them noticing a crack. And then, as you might have noticed, we've just not heard anything about this in the last 5 years until very, very recently. But in 2020, they ignored advice from the Institute of Structural Engineers to identify at-risk buildings.
Bunch of left-wing cranks, I'm sure.
This is again from the Financial Times. An independent advisory group, backed by the ISE, recommended in 2020 that buildings containing reinforced autoclaved aerated concrete be included on a high-risk register created by the government's Building Safety Act. This advice was not followed, and the government's classification of higher-risk buildings only includes structures more than 7 stories high that contain 2 or more residential units, according to the Act.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because obviously, that Act was a response to Grenfell.
Okay,
so
that makes sense.
Yeah, they were working to rule and wanted to avoid mission creep. Just make it. If smaller buildings are a problem, just make another Building Safety Act.
Yeah, it's like fine if a 1-story building's roof collapses. That's just survivable,
It's,
right?
Yeah. It's not going to go on the news, right? Yeah.
So then I couldn't get an exact like date on this, but during Rishi Sunak's time as Chancellor, which was 2020 to 22, if I remember rightly, civil servants recommended between 300 and 400 schools would need repairs each year. The Department for Education therefore requested funds from the Treasury to repair 200 schools a year. Rishi Sunak said they could have the money for 100 a year, but then later cut that down to 50.
Nice.
That is government in action.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Problem
1/10
solved.
of what's needed. But
Problem solved.
Problem solved.
10% is 100%. That's why they both start with 1.
Do they all right? In all seriousness, do they think they're dealing with Scotty from the original Star Trek? Like, do they think he's just giving wild estimates and he actually means like a quarter of that? Fucking hell.
Yeah. But it's okay. It wasn't his fault. Fucking Labour went in on him at PMQs last week or something.
They're still doing that?
Well, apparently. Obviously, the podcast doesn't pay me enough to go and watch that shit, so...
remember Rob was watching that, used to watch that every so often for a while, and it was just like the most excruciating... It is just the most excruciating shit you've ever seen.
Yeah. And I mean, especially, like, with Keir Starmer's voice.
Yeah, your fucking dad down the pub trying to have, like a debate with his mates, and it's just, like... Even worse somehow. These people wield power.
Starmer went in on Sunak for being responsible, and Sunak apparently said that like it wasn't his fault that when he was Chancellor, it wasn't his fault that the Treasury did this.
The mantra we've taken on lately is that the Treasury must be destroyed because all the entire point of them is to just stop money from being spent on anything useful.
Yes.
Yeah, but it apparently does that on its own. It's so well oiled that the Chancellor doesn't have to intervene. More recently, the Education Secretary, Gillian Keegan, has been on a fucking tear, quite frankly.
I'll get caught on hot mic.
I think she was on Sky News and wasn't happy after the interview and got caught on the hot mic complaining, does anyone ever say, you know what, you've done a fucking good job because everyone else has sat on their arse and done nothing?
No, shut up.
She had to apologise for that, like a fucking square, because you can't like use that kind of language in Britain. Perish the fucking thought.
Wow.
And she learned a lesson, though, because a day later, she upset school leaders because she said school leaders who hadn't responded to a Department for Education survey about the presence of RAAC should get off their backsides.
Didn't they send that at like 8 p.m. on a Sunday or a Friday or something?
Probably, yeah.
Something like that. It was some stupid fucking time, and it's like...
I did not come across that in my research, but it would not fucking surprise me. But you've got to agree, though, get off your backside is much more civilized than get off your arse. So
yeah, I mean the problem with what she said was it was the swearing that was the issue, not the actual content of what she said.
Right.
Yeah, and then finally, the Department for Education released a soothing JPEG to let us know everything was fine. Would you like to see that?
Oh,
I would love to see the calming JPEG.
I love a JPEG.
There it is. That
Most
was their official.
Schools unaffected in red.
Yeah, that was their official statement that they put on Twitter.
That is the most brass-eye shit I think I've ever seen.
It's exactly, it's like that fucking newspaper article that said it was poo. It's got that same kind of vibe to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so good because, I mean, they put that out on Twitter. So that's their direct to the public, like, announcement. You know, it's not being filtered through news reports or anything. That is direct communication.
Yeah,
and it tells you fucking nothing.
No, Jamie, it tells you that at least 51% of schools aren't affected.
Yeah. But it's literally just, no, we're doing a good job, actually. Are you concerned that your kids...
Same vibe as when they were telling us the new COVID variants were mild, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, are you worried that your kid might come home from school considerably shorter than they went in the morning?
Yeah.
Well, you can still worry about that because you might be one of the schools that is affected. Fuck you.
Yeah.
The important thing is that everyone recognise the government are doing well.
Most of the schools are unaffected. We don't know which ones are and which ones aren't. But now is not the time to panic.
Yeah.
Yeah, if your child does come back forcibly and shortened, then just show them the JPEG and everything will be fine.
Yeah, well, most of the schools were unaffected, though.
Yeah. But, so a bunch, the upshot was that they obviously this all, like, it was a flurry of activity, like, the day before the, like, summer break ended. So, a lot of schools had to put kids in like prefabs on for the first week of term. Some had to mix online and like remote and present learning, and some schools I think actually just closed entirely and went back to the remote learning from the pandemic, which I'm sure went down a fucking riot with the British public.
Oh yeah.
What do you mean the creche is closed? What the fuck?
Yeah. So that's the long and the short of it on why all of our buildings are shit and are going to fall down. It'd be pretty funny if a court collapsed, I think, though. No one really needs those.
Yeah, a court, a police station, a prison.
I mean, the big win would be obviously the Houses of Parliament, though, because they are so determined to not fix any of the fucking problems. It would just be extremely funny if a fire broke out in the tinderbox that is the House of Parliament, causing all this fucked up concrete to just give in on itself out of solidarity or whatever, and then the whole building just comes tumbling down.
Well, I'm pretty sure this. Unfortunately, this stuff does seem to be very resistant to fire. That's it's also a very, very good insulator.
This
is
news I've heard today.
Yeah. You're just gonna hope for. You're gonna have to hope for a really big snow to hit London. You're gonna need Lake Erie to be moved to just west of London.
Once we get that sea level up and running, good things might start to happen. But yeah, that's all I've got on that. So I think Alasdair's got a special 9/11 treat for us.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
It is.
Happy 9/11 to those who celebrate.
I got my little airplane on a string attached to the ceiling fan. I got the two 9/11 trees. I got the
festive 9/11 trees.
I got the Pentagon wreath on the floor.
all I have to say is solidarity with Salvador Allende. Like, that date will never be forgotten.
So, someone on Twitter earlier was posting a bunch of political cartoons out of a book entitled "The Best Editorial Cartoons of the Year 2002 edition." And
my god!
I am.
Oh boy!
So I've just put the first of these. The first of these many images, which is the cover, the cover of the book.
Wow. That is amazing.
Which is, for the listener, it is a zoomed-in image of the Statue of Liberty with what I can only describe as big anime eyes, with images of the burning North Tower and a plane flying into the South Tower.
Something else.
Just out of frame, the big anime titties.
Oh yeah,
shedding a single tear though. So if you ever thought that like fucking Kelly from The Onion was being a bit too on the nose.
I love the idea that Statue of Liberty, you can't have it weep uncontrollably because that would be kind of effeminate, and America ain't that. But a single tear is appropriate under the circumstances.
Yeah, a single proud tear. Just like 9/11 finally happening.
Have you guys ever heard?
She knew we could do it.
Toby Keith's "The Angry American," courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue.
I haven't actually.
I think I'm aware of it, but I don't think I've heard it.
Look up those lyrics.
I will say as well is
that much salt water is going to be really bad for the copper.
Wait, did anyone else? Did anyone else see this thing about? We need to buff the Statue of Liberty so that it's copper colored again.
Yes, I saw that.
Wow.
That was very stupid.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, and I was like, that's not how that works.
Is it like giving it increased XP gains or like improving its shield?
It reduces the resistance to corrosion.
I will say as well that that comic on the cover of that book is signed Mike Lukovich, who is a cunt. Just so everyone might want to know that. If depending on which other artists are in this fucking gallery we're about to see, I might be saying that a lot.
Outstanding.
Well, on that note, shall I send you the next one?
Please.
So again, for the listener, so what we've got like a typical office with like a telescope and a computer and a guy in it. The guy saying, "Frankly, I can't think of a bigger threat to America than the assault on our civil liberties." As a jumbo jet is flying into the flying towards the camera in the picture,
flying towards the open window there.
They're like birds. They just think they can go through the glass.
I hate when the worst thing is the oil imprint on the window afterwards.
Attack on our civil liberties, though. Like that's the thing that happened.
Yeah,
it's like
the man has a very big nose.
I wonder why.
That is Michael Ramirez's house style.
Yeah, it is. He's incredibly anti-Semitic.
Well, I mean, he's not just anti-Semitic. To be fair, he does have many many strings in his racist bow. You should see his cartoons in response to any black person who was killed by the police as an example.
Oh yes,
he is also a cunt. But I will say, in showing incredible restraint there, not to write "debt" on the nose of the plane.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that would be really good. That would knock it out of the park. I would say, all right, this is a good cartoon now.
I would not be surprised if at some point that motherfucker has done a 9/11 with debt written on it somewhere as one of his cartoons.
Probably.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. I want that. I want that cartoon. I would put it on my wall. I'd frame that.
There's a very specific 9/11 like cartoon I'm hoping we see here. So carry on anyway.
Wait, well, hold on one sec. What the fuck is going on with that coffee cup? It's like you look at the monitor and the telescope, and they're all fairly lovingly rendered, and then he's got like a slanted.
Yeah, it's quaking in fear, James. It can see the plane.
It's a rhombus coffee cup.
Yeah.
What happened there, I think, is you initially started drawing it as a pocket on the guy's shirt. And then later added a handle.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't have to redraw this shit.
Could be the case, yeah. You realize, oh shit, that pocket's on the wrong side. Got to strive for accuracy here.
Attention to detail.
Yeah.
Right, so let's have a look at the next one. So
actually, before we move off, Michael Ramirez, that fucking prick has won 2 Pulitzers.
Yes, he has.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So our next comic is titled "The Real World Series," and it's 2 panels. The first one is Uncle Sam, and above it is written Yankees, and then verses, and then in the second panel, the Diamondbacks, and then it's a snake with Taliban written on it because symbolism.
Yeah. Is that meant to be muscle on Uncle Sam? Is that his arms meant to be?
Do you know what? Genuinely, initially I thought those were clouds, and now I've just realised those are his fucking cauliflower hands, it seems.
Yeah, I thought that was clouds, but he's actually Popeye.
That could be the case, yeah. I am very. This is not a good cartoon. I just no. It's way too. There's nothing here. There's no there.
Also, this is a fucking rattlesnake.
Yeah. that snake is hench as fuck in the center as well.
That is a thick snake.
Yeah, but not its neck. It skipped neck day.
I also like neck day. That's foolish.
I also like the fact that if that was an actual snake, its back would be broken because snakes move their spines like left to right, and that's undulating up and down in line with. Sorry, you know what? Let's not. Yeah.
That is his kid drawing the Loch Ness monster, and he just stole it and turned it in like at work. That's what that is.
You gotta think if the snake is just like lying around, like how do those Taliban letters look? It's not legible unless the snake is in that exact pose.
Yeah, it's got a very, very peculiar birthmark.
Yeah.
That is quite tame as 9/11 cartoons go, because Clay Jones is a liberal cartoonist, I believe. The snake obviously does have fangs, but it's a snake, so you kind of let him get away with it.
It's quite a cartoony snake, all things considered. It's not like doesn't look particularly insidious, other than the weird spine and the Taliban being written across it.
A solid D+, I think.
The Taliban were very good at branding, though. You have to admit, a
Maybe
lot of good merch.
It might not be like a birthmark. He might have just gotten drunk and passed out, and his snake friends rode on him.
Yeah,
you hate to see it.
He's got a tattoo for a bet.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So let's have a look at the next one. This one is
now
titled.
We're fucking talking.
This one features.
Dear.
This one features the Statue of Liberty, somewhat shrunk, I suppose, punching a man with a shirt that just says Taliban on it. His hat is flying off. His teeth are flying out, and the Statue of Liberty is saying that's called women's rights. And on the right, two onlookers, someone in a Uncle Sam get up saying, "Wait till you see her left," and then the other guy saying, "He's going down."
I gotta say, one of my favorite elements in my wardrobe is my big white shirt that just says Taliban on it.
I mean, you turn up to a gig, you want the merch.
Classic. It's the classic cartoonist's like fucking trick is if you even slightly unsure about your caricature, write their name on their fucking shirt.
Just in case.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise we might have mistaken it for the Amish, It's not, and they've got nothing in common, so that would be really terrible. All right, too political? Okay, let's move on.
I just don't think there's a lot we can really say about this, because it's just like, America, a country famously good on women's rights.
Yeah. Again, though, that is fairly tame. Particularly for the guy has drawn a member of the Taliban, and it's like way less racist than some I've seen.
Isn't that the same caricature facial style he uses for Hillary Clinton? Sorry, I'm probably showing my brain disease here, but...
A little bit, yeah.
What, on the Taliban or on the Statue of Liberty?
Or Hillary Clinton.
Very good.
Yeah.
Should we have a look at the next one?
Yeah. Let's try the next one.
Okay, so what we've got here is we have...
What in the
Wow.
Oh my fucking god, that is amazing.
Wow.
These are two separate cartoons, right?
Yeah, one's by Bappy and one's by Mike.
Yeah, that's what's Bappy.
Yeah. And the other one's by Mike Peckers. I can't fucking... Honestly. Peters, maybe?
Peckers is funnier.
Yeah, so at the top we've got sort of two panels. The left one is a very sharp image of a bullseye, and then above is written "The Enemy 1941 : and then in a square panel we have "The Enemy 2001 : and then like a blurry bullseye.
Yeah.
Wow. This implies everyone is at least a little bit culpable for 9/11.
Every single person, man.
Maybe the real 9/11 was inside us the whole time.
The real 9/11 was the friends we made along the way.
Oh.
Yes.
But don't get too excited though, because we haven't had the second cartoon, which is a fucking masterpiece, explained to us.
This is incredible. This
so,
is beautiful
so-
to look at.
Yeah, the second comic on this page features the pearly white gates of heaven.
Notably, two of them.
Yeah,
With the strong vertical lines there.
yeah, it's a classic of the form. When any celebrity like dies or any person of note dies, you draw them at the pearly gates, no matter how like not Christian they might have been. They all go to St. Peter,
including one of the hijacked jumbo jets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucking beautiful, man.
Shown
I want that on my wall.
Shown here, presumably at cruising speed of 500 knots or whatever, about to ram the pearly gates, which are not equipped to open in time for this sort of vehicle.
Do you think,
How do you think that works on the astral plane? Do you think the wings come off, or does the gate fold?
I think it just works exactly like it would in real life. It blows up and goes to heaven.
Heaven squared.
Yeah,
Super
yeah.
heaven, if you will.
And it just repeats the process over and over again. These folks are continually ascending to higher planes, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Heyo.
Higher planes in a plane.
Yeah.
one must imagine Sisyphus angelic. Anyway,
So far, I feel like it's kind of been baby shit. Like this has
Yeah.
just been
Oh, it definitely has.
pretty tame, right? Allow me to show you by far the most racist of these fucking things that we've seen.
oh boy,
Oh boy.
So
Oh boy.
boy.
we are looking out over
Jesus
a
Christ.
rocky outcropping outside of a mountain cave.
And that rocky outcropping looks like it's from Castle Grayskull or something as well. I defy anyone to find geography that looks like that in the real world.
So
The ledge they're standing on looks like something from like fucking Roadrunner cartoons, frankly.
So we've got two brave Mujahideen fighters featured in the center. One saying to the other, "I understand some American leaders are talking about bombing us back into the Stone Age." And his friend says that would certainly be an improvement over our current situation. And just so you know where this is meant to take place, there is helpfully a big rock that says Afghanistan on it.
Yes, there's a rock that says Afghanistan on it. Yeah.
I want that for my coffee table. That would be a great conversation
The
piece.
big rock of Afghanistan, so you know where
Yeah,
you are.
actually, that'd be. I want the rock. Yeah, send me the rock, please.
It's like the Stone of Scone, except it's used to crown the next member of the Bush dynasty. Like, yeah, great, let's go with it.
Do you think that rock though like emits like racist radiation? That's what's happened
the
here.
Afghanistan rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. It's like kryptonite for non-Taliban members.
I should also add that like the two jihadis, I guess, the context of this.
Talibs, but yeah.
Yeah, is that they're sort of wearing rags and one of them's sort of poking at fire because as we know, Afghanistan has only just discovered fire, presumably.
Right,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like Kabul was ever like a world city or anything.
No. I mean, hold this one in stark contrast to that fucking like infamous diagram of Osama bin Laden's mountaintop command post.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was rigged for hydroelectric power.
It's like with America though, like, you've got no spending for any like, a civilian infrastructure, but all the military spending is like,
Yeah.
They are not so different.
Should we have a look at another one?
Go
on.
All right,
Please.
so this one, I mean, it's saying something, that's for sure. It features a sort of a white picket fence house.
Terrorism.
Yeah.
White picket fence house type situation with a girl. No, it's a woman with her baby.
Is
with
that what
a
it is?
big. Yeah, if you look carefully, that looks like a woman with her baby to me. With a big.
Her baby looks like one of the Canadians from South Park.
It does. I mean, it's 2000. It's 2001, 2002. What more do you expect? With a big. I guess you call it a rocket. It's not really a bomb.
It looks like a missile. Yeah.
Yeah. With terrorism coming out of the exhaust, which is, I mean, we'd hate to see that. Polluting the world with terrorism.
I thought that was like written on the side of I thought it was like the Saturn V, and it just said terrorism instead of USA.
Also,
Yeah,
if
but
it was written,
it would be upside down when they launched
exactly.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But helpfully, we also have a little bit more to this this cartoon because it just says "What's next?" in big bold text ?
Yeah, I was about to say, what is next? Well, presumably the house blows up. That's what's next.
Yeah.
That's usually how bombs work, yeah.
This reminds me of that children's book that came out after 9/11 called "Will They Fly a Plane into Our House?" Helping kids deal with 9/11.
Is that a real thing?
That's a real. I think it is a real thing. Yeah,
I've seen it. I can vouch for it. Roz is correct. It exists, and it is
Fuck
about
me.
like it is exactly what you expect it will be.
I mean, like, it's so fucking funny. Like, in the context of American imperialism, just like imagine one bomb falling on one like American house. Imagine the tragedy.
Well, you know, there's an advantage to quarter-acre lots. You need one bomb per house.
I love that the shadow of the bomb looks nothing like the fucking actual silhouette of the bomb.
Yeah.
I mean, I not to defend this fucking guy, but I think it's where it's just a circle, but caught on the corner of the house.
What I do love is
The bomb
I
has
thought
fins.
That's true.
I thought that was a weird bush or something. Okay.
what I love about this is he very obviously drew the missile and the tree and house and did it all to like perspective scale, and it was pretty good. When he went to turn it in, and the editor said, "You know what it really needs? It needs a woman and a little baby just to drive home how serious it is." And you've got like 10 minutes, and you just had to quickly fumble that fucking child ass
looking at this
Oh,
more
sure.
carefully, his shadow work is dog shit. Because if you look at that little fence to the right, I assume that's meant to be a fence, and like the house and the tree, all the light is coming from the right. And yet the shadow for the bomb is directly underneath it. Chip Beck is the fucking most American name I've ever heard. You need to try harder.
Yeah.
It's a metaphorical shadow of terrorism, though. So you know,
That woman in the yard looks like a child trying to draw a Where's Wally book.
I mean, she does have like weird, like gawky eyes, doesn't she? The woman.
It's incredible. I mean, you look at all the serious political cartoon artist cross-hatching on the fucking bomb, and then there's like, you know, a stick figure in the garden looking terrified.
Yeah, with the baby out of South Park. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, time for the next one, and we've got a Cat in the Hat reference. It's because all good political satire involves the Cat in the Hat, and it is an Uncle Sam with an extremely triangular Uncle Sam, pointing at the news, which has a picture of the burning towers. With a I don't know what's it even called. Is it the cat? Is that the Cat in the Hat? The Lorax. Sorry, I'm not up on my fucking kids.
I'm asking. I genuinely am not sure.
One of them is one of them saying, "I do not like war, Uncle Sam. I do not like it, Sam. I am. I would not, could not respond to an attack anywhere, anytime. I will not strike back."
And the cat is labeled pacifists.
Oh my.
Well, I think the guy has been proven right because it turned out we could not effectively respond to this attack.
True.
Yeah, I mean the pacifists were right. The Taliban were in fact unbeatable.
Yeah, it's true that they're a force to be reckoned with, and we did not reckon with them well. Yeah.
But sometimes, if nothing else, 9/11 is an abject lesson in the fact that sometimes the correct response is just to do nothing and let the problem go away.
Right.
Anything you do will just make it worse.
You got to roll with the punches sometimes.
Yeah, time makes fools of us all, but none more so than Stephen Late from... Is that from
Oakland Tribune.
Oakland Tribune, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Stephen Milk. Fuck off.
You know, I just want to take a moment to reflect that all of these people got paid for this shit.
Yeah.
Every single one of them got a
it's
paycheck for
incredibly
this.
enraging.
Yeah, you got to wonder what the rates were back then, too, you know?
I mean, so let's look at another one now. This one was extremely fucking low effort. Like, what exactly... What point is this trying to make? So what we have, we've got two panels. We've got two panels. On the left, we have one of the jumbo jets with the pilot of the jumbo jet crying out "Mayday" with a terrorist behind him with what looks like an upside down carrot.
An alarming fucking caricature of the terrorists as well.
I was about to say, yeah.
And then on the right we have some kind of
Incredibly squat fighter.
A fighter dropping missiles. Is that how that works?
Is that the big goofy fighter that was one of the candidates for the F-35?
Hell yeah, why not, man?
I mean, that might be giving him too much credit, but maybe.
Yeah, if
I don't know. You can probably look up the tail number there.
What 91101?
91101.
Oh
wow.
my god!
And I should just to complete the details for the listener. Underneath the missiles, underneath the missiles, it reads "Payday." So just revenge is all this is saying.
To contrast with the pilot yelling "Mayday."
Yeah.
Shit,
but that is from Dick Locker of the Chicago Tribune.
What a name, man!
Yeah.
You know what? Like,
no, that's the Boeing X-32 with the big goofy grin. Yeah.
Yeah. Credit to us here. That is.
We just posted the same photo.
Oh, fantastic!
Yep. It's so happy to see you.
I just love it when a vehicle is smiling at me.
Yeah. Especially as it's about to drop bombs on you.
But yeah, do we have more cartoons that aren't from a guy who inherited a fucking chastity cage website or something?
We've got. I mean, oh my god, yeah. Let's skip through some of these. All right, this one's pretty good. So here's another one for you. This one features two large lads titled "The Other Twin Towers." Uncle Sam's Giant Sons. America's Faith reads the back. Well, they're both faced away from your perspective. The one on the left has a jacket that reads America's Faith, and the other one has a jacket that reads America's National Pride, standing tall across the New York landscape.
Why aren't they holding
frankly
hands?
Insane trousers.
I would say the Taliban. I would say the terrorists pretty well took out these as well. I think Osama bin Laden really did a number on these two guys.
Yeah, that's another one from Jerry Holbert, who did the Lady Liberty punching the Taliban comic we saw earlier.
The profile of his shoulders looks kind of like gravestones. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, it's graveyard of America.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show a very racist one now.
All right.
Love
it. Sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, only the worst for my very best friends. So we have four drawings of the same character. The one on the far left labeled Osama, saying, "Here's the plan. I won't wear any disguise. We'll have every other man in Afghanistan dress up to look like me." And the other three are just sort of genuinely agreeing. And the one on the right says, "When do we start?" The joke being, of course, that they all look the same. And this is incisive political commentary.
Yeah.
Sure.
Why are their tongues so wiggly?
They
went to the same school as that snake.
I guess so. Yeah.
It's meant to be.
They should have one of them. One of the tongues should say Taliban on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
Who are these guys? Osama? Who the fuck's that?
Osama has one of those little fucking like things on you'd seen like in banks to tell you who the manager is. You know, that you put on, like a little Toblerone you put on your desk with your name on.
He should have a coffee cup that says "The buck stops here."
Do you know?
Osama bin Laden logging on to Amazon.com so he can get a personalised Toblerone that just says Osama bin Laden on it, delivered to his mountain cave.
Yeah.
Do you know? I've just realised the racism is layered.
World's greatest boss.
The reason their tongues are doing that is the fucking conservative like meme they had at the time about the noise they would all make, like when they were doing their attacks. Like that's meant to be like a representation of it. It's just fucking.
No, I think it's just the standard political cartoon thing where you draw the person who is of the opposite ideology to you to look crazy.
Oh my god!
You know, you draw the guy who voices your opinion to look sensible, and then you draw the other guy screaming.
Oh yeah, reasonable Hitler, sure.
Yeah, reasonable
Oh my
Hitler.
god, this is from Slate.com.
Yeah.
Should we have a look at one more?
Daryl Cagle, another liberal as well, as I remember.
Yeah, so what I've got for you here is a cartoon that...
Wow, this is racist.
Wow.
So what we have is a big, well, I guess you'd call it a
Jesus
chest with a big padlock on it titled USA, and we have I guess this is Osama bin Laden on top, with sort of a lever crowbar type thing of some kind,
and
titled
an Easter Island-esque face going on here. What the hell?
Yeah, I was
a
about
very
to say,
long
yeah.
head, asking Pandora, who is Pandora?
Well, Pandora is a planet that James Cameron made up.
Yeah, Osama bin Laden would have loved James Cameron's Avatar, I'm sure.
When did wasn't he still alive when
shit,
Avatar came out?
Yeah, he would have been.
I think was it 2011? I think that he got killed.
Yeah, Avatar came out in 2009. Yeah, he would have been alive.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
he probably saw it. You will never know his thoughts about it, though.
Well, let me just Google the contents of his hard drive and see if he had Avatar
well,
porn
I
on it, and
remember
that'll
he had
definitively answer the
ants on
question.
there, so maybe Avatar.
I can't find the one I was expecting you to have. I should really have got it earlier just in case you hadn't found it, but I can't remember the fucking cartoonist's name either. It was Gary something. There's a pair of Republican fucking political cartoonists. They were brothers, and at least one of them worked on the Minions movie as a weird bit of trivia. But one of them drew a fucking political cartoon, which was the Twin Towers, and there were a bunch of judges in the robes with their arms outstretched flying towards the Twin Towers while racist caricatures of Taliban
God.
sat on their backs waving swords. And I think it was some kind of incisive commentary about how civil rights will be the downfall of America or something.
No, unfortunately, that's not in my list of cartoons. But
I will have to find it before we put the episode out.
but yeah, no. So thank you for joining me on this very special 9/11 for us to regale ourselves of how insane the world turned after that event, and how extremely not mad America was.
I'm gonna put my favorite 9/11 political cartoon.
Oh,
and
God.
Oh, hell yeah, let's go.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Empire State Building always wins, baby.
That's
Yes.
Creeder, isn't it?
That's Tim Creeder, yeah.
Yeah.
Although
America's
it's funny
greatest
'cause,
fucking political cartoonist, quite frankly.
They interviewed Trump the day of, and he was like, well, it's a tragedy this happened, but I now own the tallest building in Lower Manhattan.
Yes.
He's the best one to ever do it.
Yeah, his cartoon commemorating the death of Reagan was absolutely phenomenal. So,
Oh, hang on, I've managed to uncover the name. It was Gary McCoy, I think. See if I can find it. Google is so bad. I can only assume that the woke blob has removed this comic from the internet.
Probably.
All I can find is startling levels of transphobia and
Oh, yeah.
racist caricatures of Obama.
Oh my god!
this-
I'm sorry. I've got to put this fucking.
I guess this is.
One more. This is the last one from me. I swear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
The one thing the establishment truly fears.
okay.
That is fucking incredible.
So it says at the top, America's hour of needing each other, and they've underlined need just to really drive it home. Oh my god.
Yeah. So
she's
that's the
beautiful.
title, and we have an African American gentleman and a cop.
Yes.
And the African American guy says, "To think I always hated cops." And the cop saying, "To think I always hassled blacks."
Hassled is doing a lot of lifting there, isn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Hassel's
Why?
doing a lot
To think I
here.
always murdered blacks.
Why? Why, if the text is in thought bubbles, does it need quotation marks?
It's because they're both
question,
psychic
man.
creatures. And
I guess so.
just to give it the full context as well for the listener, they are sort of escorting each other out of the wreckage of 9/11, the collapsing of the Twin Towers, I
Yeah.
presume.
Yes.
It's John. I thought it was an address on the left, but it's just John Slade's name.
Yeah. Here's a Gary McCoy. You said Gary Larson. Fucking hell.
Besmirching
absolutely
his
huge
good name.
slam on Gary Larson out of nowhere there.
Yeah, brutal.
Yeah, here's a Gary McCoy, which isn't directly about 9/11, but is Taliban related.
Wow, he's got a beige suit.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Oh man, that's a blast from the past.
Everyone remembers that Obama's lips were really purple as well. That was a famous thing people noted about him.
Borrowed his suit from Jeremy Corbyn, though.
Have we stumbled onto your specialist area, Jamie? With, like,
yes,
American
we very
political
much have.
cartoons?
Yeah. Yeah, we have.
2001?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I fucking hate political cartoons. I could
Fucking
go
hate
on for
political
fucking-
cartoons. Can't get enough of them.
Go on for fuck. Yeah, honestly, if you want to get angry in a hurry, I can point you in some. Do you know what I mean? We should do some fucking British ones sometime, so I can get really mad at like fucking Mac from the Daily Mail.
Oh hell yeah!
Drawing Africans as witch doctors in the 2010s.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Keeping the tradition alive.
The best to ever have done it. But yeah, I can't find Gary McCoy's like. I assume he got like tons of shit for it and it's been scrubbed from the internet. But he did draw a bunch of liberal judges flying terrorists into the Twin Towers.
That's your deal.
Yeah, and worked on the Minions movie. So there you go, a land of contrasts. But anyway, thanks for coming on. That was quite a roller coaster of emotions. I think you'll agree.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good time. This is a good time.
Would you like to promote your podcast while you're here?
Yes. We have a podcast. It's called Well, There's Your Problem. It's a podcast about engineering disasters with slides. It's on YouTube. It's on Podbean. It's on wherever you get podcasts. We have a Patreon. You give us $2 a month, and most of the months you get a bonus episode.
Some months you don't. Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. Tomorrow we have a live show, but that's probably irrelevant because I don't think this is
coming
I
out.
don't
Yeah,
think
be the day after.
Yeah.
Also, those last minute bookings are killer, man.
Well, thank you both for coming out. It's been a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, explaining what concrete is. Always good to know.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's good to because this means you won't be put in the embarrassing position of saying cement when you mean concrete.
Alice.
Those are two separate things. Yeah, exactly.
You buffoon. You idiot fucker moron.
You fool! You've doomed us all.
Yeah. If you want more of our fucking horse shit, you can find us on patreon.com/praxiscast. Someone please correct me if I do any of these wrong, because this is David's job. What else?
If Jamie gets it wrong, write in.
Yeah, to David. You can find us Wednesdays and Thursday evenings on Twitch sometimes. Keep an eye on the Blue Sky or the Twitter for like last minute notifications to say that we actually organised a stream this week. That's at twitch.tv/praxiscast. And you can get merch at praxiscast.tmail.com.
Oh yeah.
Fucking nailed it. There we go.
There
Thank
you
you all
go,
for coming, and we'll see you later.
Yeah.
And Jamie may or may not add the comics that we were talking about to the YouTube TBD. But
I'm going to do that. Like, someone remind me. Yeah.
I'll try to remind you, Jamie.
For patrons' benefit, I'll put them up on the Patreon. So
Yeah. And if you're a Podbean only listener, fuck you.
Yeah, gotta fucking pay to win.
Yeah, you want to see some JPEGs? You best sign up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us your money, hogs.
Premium JPEGs.
We want all your money.
Yeah. Thanks. See you.
Thanks, everyone.
bye.
Bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.